Sparring for self-defense. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Hi, I'm Sensei Derek Staubitz from Hybrid Defense, and I want to talk about sparring in our self-defense classes. Now, when we talk about sparring, you can do this in a bunch of different ways. Sparring is a great tool that you need in your training. It's so important that you find time to spar. Traditionally, when you're sparring, you're probably doing some sort of kickboxing where you're working on striking, not being struck, space management, being aware of somebody's hands and what they're up to. With our grappling, maybe you're working on your stand-up game or takedowns. With groundwork, you're working on trying not to get submitted or not letting somebody have a dominant position where they can ground and pound you. These are all good parts of sparring, and lots of schools do them lots of different ways. But the kind of sparring that I don't think we do enough of is self-defense geared sparring, where we create a scenario and then we just spar in that scenario. And I've been working on a few different scenarios that you can do where you have a goal and your opponent has a goal, and those goals are against each other without necessarily having to have like a good guy versus bad guy mindset. Like, okay, I'm trying to push you into my car and you are trying to not get pushed in the car. That's more of a good guy, bad guy mindset, which is totally fine if you want to drill that way, where you're trying to have a sparring match, but you're aware of a specific goal for each person. Even better, I think, is when you have goals that are not necessarily in the same scenario, but you are drilling two different scenarios together. So maybe perhaps I'm trying to get you out of my house, but your goal is I'm trying to keep you from getting in my house. So now our goals are not the same story, but we would fight in a similar manner for both of these. Now this is assuming just striking hands and feet, of course, and grappling, but maybe you implement some tools. Maybe you implement some sort of a pad that you can pick up and hit somebody with. So now you're sparring, but you're introducing weapons into that sparring or ways to create a barrier. Maybe some stuff is in the way. Maybe you leave a punching bag in the middle of that sparring area. So now you have something that you can fight around as well. Maybe if you have training weapons, you put a training knife on, or you leave a training knife off to the side that can be accessed during the fight, or a training gun. These are all things that we could do in sparring to help us work those defenses. We spar a lot with the basics of striking and grappling, but sparring with weapons, sparring with these different tools, sparring with these different scenarios, I think is something that we're missing in the martial arts community that can help us build the right mindset of a goal-oriented fight. Our goal in self-defense should be to escape. If it's happening in a place where escape is the goal, if it's happening where I'm trying to get somebody out of my house, maybe that goal is different. Or I'm trying to get away from somebody, or maybe I'm trying to get on top of somebody to stop them from committing some sort of a crime or assault on somebody else. These are all things that we could drill in our sparring and just make it a 3-minute round. Okay, see how long you can last in this scenario. This is off to the side and available. You're aware of it. Maybe you're not aware of it if it's in somebody else's home or some other scenario that you didn't know that it was going to be there. These are all ways that we can practice our sparring and allow us to find different scenarios, different situations that we have to resolve. The ability to resolve a problem under stress and fatigue is what self-defense should be majorly. If I'm not able to resolve a situation because I've never seen it before and it's new and it just came up, then that's something we can train. That's something we can address. Or maybe we run that sparring round again. Now we have a clearer mindset on, okay, here's how this can go. If we drill in the class and we practice scenarios via drills, that's great for repetition, a little bit safer. But when we do it in a sparring session, it becomes more of an active resistance, where now my strategies are competing with somebody else's strategies. My goals are competing with somebody else's goals. And sometimes those goals are directly counter to each other. And sometimes those goals are kind of adjacent to each other, where me completing my goal doesn't necessarily mean that the other person couldn't complete their goal at the same time. This vastly changes the way that we spar versus I want to either hit you more or I want to submit you. Again, I don't want to take away that kind of sparring. I think that's one of the most important. But I think dripping in these other options, these other scenario style sparrings, might be a benefit to your training. I want to know what you guys think below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know if you have any thoughts for future videos, future questions, future situations. I do Krav Maga and karate, but majorly I'm a self-defense school for kids and a self-defense school for adults. I hope to see you guys in the next video.